Hi everyone, it's me, Krylios, Team Rayceen Productions MC and producer. And I have with me today a fabulous guest. And we're getting international today, which we love doing here on this channel. So I'm going to have him introduce himself and then we'll get into it.
Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for having me. My name is Siya Khumalo. I'm the author of a book titled You Have to Be Gay to Know God. I write and speak about religion, politics, and sex from a queer and Black perspective, and I live in South Africa, where it's winter at the moment, in case anybody's questioning my wardrobe choices.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here with us, especially because you're in South Africa, time zones are different, seasons are different, you know, hemispheres are different. So it's great to have you here with us today. And I want to get a little bit into tell me about what inspired you, first of all, to write this book. First of all, I'm obsessed with the title. I am obsessed with the title so much. Talk to me a little bit about that. And I love a little bit of alliteration, and seeing gay and God in the same title is huge for me.
You spotted it. Awesome. So what inspired me to write the books was I had a number of experiences where I was always on the outside looking in. So I grew up in a township where I'm a queer kid, I'm gay. I didn't know that that's what the word was, how many others like me there were. When I started hearing the word, there was always a connotation of it's appropriate to target this group of people with violence. The reason was unspoken. You don't even know why it's okay to target these particular people with violence. It's something that's done. It's something that's accepted. And a lot of that I eventually picked up was reinforced at the churches that we attended and that our societies were built around, where according to the word of God, you could not be holy and gay, you could not be righteous and gay, you could not belong to your community and be gay. So over the years, those conflicts around my identity and my sense of belonging drove me to start blogging. Blogging became writing articles, and eventually that became a book. It's part memoir and part social political commentary, and there is a bit of Bible and religious textual analysis in there. It's just so we didn't just throw the word God on for the fun of it.
Yes.
I actually
I find that very interesting because I've always I grew up in a very religious household back in Jamaica. So I've always had this, I won't say obsession, but real deep interest into how, being queer and being religious and just how religion intersects with queer people and queer issues. I've always had that interest. What is that like for you, and why did you find that as something so important to include within this work?
It's, in a strange way, it's oddly fulfilling. Because it gives me a way of reading the Bible and understanding religion that just isn't available to most people who live within the respectable box of what it looks like to be religious. So the Bible, for an example, tells us about a God who is crucified. So and when you start looking, okay, what does it look like for God to be that misunderstood, to be othered, to be rejected? And I see a lot of that in the queer community, where we get to be blamed for floods, earthquakes, economic recessions, the moral fiber of society falling apart. People are not blamed for their own actions. Missing fathers are not blamed for their own negligence, and rapists are not blamed for being rapists, and nobody else gets to take responsibility for what they're doing wrong. But as queer people, we get to shoulder so much of it. Like, we're responsible for all of it. So that drove me to ask the question, what does the religion of a God who's blamed, who bears the sin of people, who gets projected on, what does that mean for God? What does that mean for human society? What does that mean for the evolution of history? And that's been a deeply fulfilling spiritual quest for me to approach it as a queer man who's also, I'd like to think, spiritual or religious or Christian or whatever the case may be. I feel like I'm on my life's path.
Well, talk to me a little bit about if has there been any criticism, any backlash, any like cries of it being sacrilegious or anything to that effect?
Oh my gosh, I remember the one gentleman tweeted that he said something to the effect of he has a master's degree in divinity, this, that, and the other, and this book is blasphemy. I'm like, okay, but have you read it? Or are you just judging the book by its cover? And it emerged that he had not read the book, and that's when I realized this is exactly how it works. People get into these self-righteous religious positions where they claim to know how to speak for God, but the more I listen, if your logic around God is not rooted in love and does not return to love, you're missing the bigger picture about what divinity is like, about what humanity at its purest is like. So that's been very interesting to watch. People starting the discussion, but they keep missing the mark again and again because they don't take the time to study the material. They don't take the time to study the questions the material brings up about how they've constructed their own lives and societies. So yes, there has been backlash, but I'm kind of like I bulldoze through it, I guess.
Yes.
Right.
Well, I believe if you made the decision to write the book, then of course that's something you probably anticipated a little bit of. But let's delve a little into for many people like us from predominantly Black countries in certain ways, especially those with colonialism, a colonialist past, as well as very religious. There's a lot of homophobia surrounding that, and South Africa may be one of the few African countries that have moved forward in many ways as it has to do with queer people and queer lives and everything like that, more than the rest of the continent. But tell me, is there still more to go in South Africa, and what are your thoughts on the rest of the continent and what it's like being LGBT there?
So South Africa is in a very strange position where we have one of the most progressive constitutions in the world. The state, and actually nobody can discriminate against anybody on the grounds of sexual orientation. However, in the last few weeks, we have seen what looks like an increase in homophobic murders and rapes, and they're getting more violent, more gruesome. It's averaging out to one big one a week.
Wow.
And therefore, since about February. So a lot of people in the queer community are terrified. They are all asking, "Am I next?" And it's weird because a lot of our legislatures are hoisting the pride flag. They are flying it. Government is offering words of support. Corporates are coming to the party. But at a deep structural level, a lot of queer people don't feel like we belong to the architecture of society. So I've always thought that there's a gap between the Constitution and the rest of our laws, where everybody prioritized civil unions or marriage, for an example, because that's the first thing you think about when it comes to equal rights for gay people. Can we get married? But I've started thinking about it, and I'm thinking, no, when it comes to business, when it comes to the rest of the fabric of society, there's still a lot of catching up to do. But, I'll never lose sight. I hope I never lose sight of the fact of how fortunate we are. I will never have the police barging into my bedroom because they suspect that people in there are a same-sex couple. That will never be something I pay any mind to. There'll be other threats. The possibility of a homophobic killing will always be there, but it will never be sanctioned by the state, and that's something I'll always be grateful for. So there are huge gains, but there are also huge losses, and many of those, the brunt is borne predominantly by Black people who still live in the aftermath of colonialism and apartheid, which has left them in poverty and many other struggles. So that's still a concern.
Certainly, certainly. Well, Siya, I am so happy that you joined me today because this has been such a wonderful discussion. And before I let you go, I just want to give you the opportunity to let everyone know how they can follow you, keep up with you, and of course, purchase your fabulous book. So take it away.
No problem. Thank you. In terms of purchasing the book, the first source that comes to mind is Amazon, but it's not the only one. It does depend on which country you're in and what the shipment rules are. How people can get hold of me, my handle on Instagram and Twitter is Siya the Writer. There's no punctuation or anything else in that. It's just Siya the Writer. So that's why I'm on Instagram and Twitter. My Facebook page is called With Siya Khumalo. But it's probably going to be easier for people to get hold of me on Instagram and Twitter. I generally respond to DMs. And yeah, and I'm not sure if I missed anything from that. Oh, and I post a lot of interesting content. So I'm continuously writing social political commentary, making videos, and just generally having a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. And to the viewers, the link will be in the description. Any final words, Siya?
Not from me, but thank you so much for the work you do.
Thank you so much. And to our viewers, thank you for watching. We thank our production sponsors, Whitman Walker Health and Bite the Fruit, for continuously supporting Team Rayceen Productions. Thank you.